How's it going, everyone? I'm Sears coming at you guys with another custom lightsaber review. This time I have a set of hilts to share with you guys. That's right, a set of hilts. Now, the reason why I'm doing that for today's video is because these particular sabers that I'm showcasing today go together in more than one reason. Not only are they related to the same game, Jedi Fallen Order, but these could also connect together to make double-bladed lightsabers. So I have 3 of them here for today's video. Now, I did get these hilts through CCSabers, which I've done a lot of business with in the past and is easily up there in the trusted category for your lightsaber needs, which I'll put a link to his website down below, and even my own coupon code if you wish to use that to save a little bit of money on your purchase as well. Secondly, as far as the makers of the hilt, they are made by 89 Sabers, for those of you who are curious. So what hilts do I have today? Well, we're going to go ahead and start with the 2, which technically I showed one of them in the thumbnail, but we have the saber that Cal Kestis uses in the game, which technically it's a saber that belonged to his former master, who was unfortunately slain during the events of Order 66 while protecting his Padawan, aka Cal Kestis, and gave his lightsaber to his Padawan since Kestis lost his during the events of Order 66 while making their escape, and he's been holding on to the saber ever since. So kind of cool that he still holds on to it, and he treasures every bit of it. So I kind of like that development between, you know, master and apprentice. But we also have another variation of said hilt, which technically this one would be from Jedi Survivor, the newest version of the hilts. The only main difference between these two is that this one is the broken variation of the bottom half, while this one is now the fixed variation. And there's a reason why I have 2 here, is because one, I need to combine them, and secondly, well, some other information. I'm kind of winging this video as I go along. So let me go ahead and give you guys a closer look at these 2 hilts first before I bring the 3rd one over. Now, one thing to address really quick is that as far as the hilts here, these are unmodified, meaning that these are not weathered, and they're not treated or any kind of way, shape, and form. The damaged version doesn't have that extensive battle-worn look to it because obviously I didn't get this sent out to get it worked on. But I just wanted you guys to see how this looks straight out of the box. So here is the first one here. So you got the shroud portion. I like also the additional detail here, the little red bits there. Looks very nice. Now all these are fully installed with Profi. It's a 2-button activation, so you have your main button here, and there's also a secondary button located on the very back. And then here's that bottom half. Like I mentioned, this is untreated, unaltered from out of the box, but what's nice here is that you could use this technically as a blank slate to work with. So if you want to try to weather this yourself, you could get some sandpaper, scuff up this bottom part here, take these broken pieces and bend them out a bit more, kind of have fun with it. If you wanted something to practice on, I think this would be a good starter saber for that, if that is your desire. Now, as far as parts that can disconnect, you can disconnect this entire bottom section here, and also this main piece here. Now, each of these hilts that I'm going to showcase do have one of my personal favorite things, which is a removable chassis. Here is what the chassis is going to look like. You do have 2 buttons here, which you don't really need to worry about because that's just when everything's connected. There is your Profi board, which you could easily access the SD card, and of course plug everything in right in this little crevice. On the other end, you do have your removable battery, and you do have a hidden on and off kill switch. So if I toggle this off and then toggle this back on, there you go. Now, the fonts that I'll be showcasing today, I did add from Kyberphonics font package, just so you are aware. Now, the other thing that I also wanted to point out is that on specifically this version of the hilts, is on the bottom of the actual chassis, the removable chassis, I should say. These are actually LEDs right here. Now, I wasn't sure how these were kind of set up when I was doing the font package. I thought maybe the LEDs were added with the main blade, meaning that whenever the main blade is set up, it would glow that color, but technically it's not. Just for future reference, if you go ahead and modify the Profi, do note that if you want these bottom portions to glow, you do need to have a crystal chamber set up in your Profi configuration, just so you are aware. Now, technically, the glow wouldn't be too much of a big deal for the most part, and the only one that it's really going to matter is on this one, because you have, again, this whole broken section here, and you have more of a chance for a light to kind of shine here once it's, of course, in a darker environment. That's pretty much about it. Again, it's just a cosmetic thing. Whether or not you like that, it's completely up to you. And we have the same thing here. Once again, the only difference here is that instead of the broken pommel section, you now have the fixed variation. If you happen to already own the broken one, you could simply just buy this piece here, because all of these are compatible for the hilt. So you could just buy this hilt, I mean not the hilt, but you could just buy this bottom section, and that's it, and just swap it between the two, and you're good to go if you wanted to do it that way. Now, the third saber here is not one that is owned by Cal Kestis, but was given to him when his Master Saber broke and Cal Kestis was undergoing his own trial in the first game. Here we have Sears Lightsaber. Now, there is two things that I did to this that is not how it's going to be out of the box when you get it. The two things that I did is, one, I added my own wrapping to this. Now, it's supposed to be of a darker brown color, but Amazon images lie to me when I've ordered it. But it looks good in my opinion for what I've chosen. What I ended up using was a self-adhesive bandage. And then the second thing that I did as well is that I attempted to weather the saber, because I wanted to give it that worn look to it. Just kind of an example, because I'm not someone who has experience, and I do mean experience, weathering lightsabers. I paint miniature models like Warhammer and Star Wars Legion and so forth. Weathering lightsabers is not really in my category. All I did was take black paint, water it down, plaster it onto the hilt, and took something like an old rag and was wiping off the paint until I had a desired look. That's all I did. So here is that hilt. So here it is from the distance. So technically this is the first time I'm holding Sears Lightsaber as a standalone product instead of pre-connected. And here is the upper portion. This is also a 2-button setup, so you have your main button here. The secondary button is located right there. Like I said, this here is wrapping that I've added. By default, without the wrapping, it's just basically a black underneath. I worded that so wrong. But it's basically just it's a black chassis underneath. That's pretty much it. And if you want to do that yourself, if you do end up maybe just getting this, but you want to do your own wrapping, again, this is all I used. I got this on Amazon, extremely cheap. It's the easiest way to go about it if you're not experienced in wrapping lightsaber hilts. Again, I'm not experienced at it. This was my first time actually doing it myself. And all I got was this. It's a self-adhesive bandage, and it's easy to work with. So again, very cheap. You can get a whole bag of it for like under 10 bucks if you wanted to. I kind of ordered the wrong thing, so I have like so many of these, but that's all I used. The other thing also too that I have here is a connector for the one variation of it, so we can go ahead and connect the hilts together, but we'll get into that in just a moment. Other accessories that were with this product as well, these did come with these cool 89 Saber bags that you can go ahead and put your hilts in it. Each of these bags also have 2 different designs on the back. I'm assuming that this comes defaults with it, because it's my first time in a while ordering 89 Saber hilts from CCSabers in a while, and so I was just kind of surprised with some of the extra goodies that were there. It also came with these neat lightsaber stands, and if it wants to focus, so you got a plaque there, a clear stand, and then here's another one with the It doesn't like to focus on these. So Sears, there you go. So overall neat. Again, if you like lightsaber stands and you like this variation, these are included. So as I mentioned before, these hilts can go together. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is that I am going to simply take this connector, and we're going to do the first variation that you guys are already familiar with, which is this version of the hilt, which is the one that Cal Kestis Master formerly used. In order to connect it, you're simply going to remove the bottom portions between both hilts, like so. And it doesn't matter if you have the fixed version or the broken version, all these are compatible, so they all work with one another. And you're going to go ahead and simply just add them on here. In fact, let me just make sure that these are actually powered on for the battery. There we go. And then this one. There we go. Like I said, these are Profi installed, and I did add gesture controls too. Alright, so here we go. I was hoping that this would happen. Now, I have these connected. Now, you're going to notice that obviously these aren't facing the right way, and you might be wondering, well, how do you fix that? The easiest way is on this hilt here. What you're going to do is that you are going to carefully remove this piece and this piece. These are held together with a adhesive tape. It's a double-sided. It is on the strong side, so be kind of careful not to cut your fingers removing them. Actually, it looks like I only have to do it on the one side, so maybe it wasn't both sides, but on one of the sides that you open up, you are going to find, in fact, let me put this one back, these. What you're going to do is that you're going to loosen those 3 screws. And what's going to happen is that you will be able to twist this to get the parts to line up properly. I just need to make sure that I'm using the correct sizing tool here, because I have so many sizes here. You do get all the necessary tools inside the packaging, just so you are aware. There we go. So that's 1, 2, 3, and let's see if that's loose enough. There we go. Alright, so what I want to do is that this is going to be the main front one here. So if you go to the one that I just loosened, what I'm going to do is that since I've loosened these, I can now freely twist this individual piece to get it to align perfectly. Once I have the parts perfectly aligned, you're going to simply go back and tighten those 3 screws, meaning that when you go and use this now, it's all going to be perfectly lined up. And that is it. And once you tighten those pieces up, you don't want to over tighten, just where it's got that snug fit. You're going to go ahead and take that piece that you just removed, put it back on, put a little pressure to ensure that the adhesive is sticking to it. And just like that, the hilt is now facing the same exact way. And here is now the complete install for a version of the hilt that you've seen multiple times on this channel already. And of course, with the connector, you do have sound ventilation located here in the center, and you are essentially good to go. Now, of course, we also have CCSabers. So if you want to do this combination, you could also connect this as well. Now, typically, as far as we know for in-game, the majority of the hilt combination is with this and one of the in portions of the CCSabers. Now, I'm going to show you the 2 different ways here, because in a lot of the promotional images I've seen, they were using this connector rather than using this one, which is a bit weird. Maybe it's because due to the fact that on this one there's no sound ventilation in the center. But we're going to kind of see how that works out with this. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is that I'm going to go ahead and make sure this is turned on. Now on the Sears Saber, do note that there is no LED on the bottom on this one because it's a bit of a different design. And then we are going to go ahead and take one of the ends here of the Kestis hilt. And we can go ahead and simply connect this to the bottom of Sears Lightsaber. But first I have to remove one little thing here, and that is this. This right here is a spacer that is used inside the hilts. Okay, it doesn't want to focus on this for some reason. So this is the spacer on the inside. Basically what this is doing is that this is filling in that extra space so that way the chassis doesn't accidentally pop out. But we don't need that when we're doing this combination here. Now, the same thing could be said with this hilt as well when you have these connected. If you want the buttons to align, you're going to have to do the same thing, which is remove one of these sides that has those pieces to unscrew, and then you can go ahead and rotate it. But if you're kind of curious to see how this one looks with this combination, there it is. Last time you've seen this was when I was reviewing the version from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which was that big chunky boy one. So like I mentioned, with this combination there is actually no sound ventilation in the center of this hilt because the Sears Saber was a standalone thing. But I am kind of curious to see how this is going to sound because I've actually not put this combination on with the audio. Okay, that tends to work out. Now, do you note that obviously when you're doing this combination with the Sear portion of it, when you turn this one on by itself, you can hear the audio, but it's not super loud. Go ahead and turn that off here. Now the Sear one has a lot more ventilation. There's a lot of holes here, so there's a lot of areas for audio to escape. And this one by itself already sounds loud. So when you have this one on, with the combination of the other side, now some people might say that seems a little bit bad, but to be quite honest, it actually works out very well because a lot of times for double-bladed lightsabers, with the ventilation being in the center, guess where your hand is going to be half the time? In the center gripping it, which means that the audio is going to get muffled a lot. But here, the audio is still nice and loud. Yes, while the one side is muffled a little bit, with the volume on this already kind of booming outwards already, it kind of like negates that little negative, to be honest. Now the other thing too, if you wanted to, you could also take Sears' top portion of the hilt and you can go ahead and connect it to the other connector instead if you wish to use this one. So this is why I kind of purposely chose to do all this in a single video because, you know, fun little combinations here. Cool. Actually, this one just about lined up perfectly. It's slightly off. But here's how this one looks on this. Again, you get Sears, then you have the other connector, then Kestis. Now the nice thing too, even though you have the sound ventilation in the center, which means that the Kestis version of the hilt, the audio is going to beam out a bit more now because of the ventilation holes here. But in addition to Sears Saber here, the audio is a lot more louder compared to the previous one. Which is neat. Now another thing that you can do if you wanted to, you could also enhance the look even more by taking what I used, which is this, again, adhesive bandage that I used. And I'm just going to show you guys how this looks by simply applying this. You just want to make sure that the first loop that you do, you get the pieces to connect. And I'm just going to do just a quick little wrap here. And what this is going to do is that you are going to get basically an additional appearance to the hilts, but this is also going to technically add some gripping material for you to hold on to while you're swinging this lightsaber around. Alright, now that I'm happy with that, I'm going to go ahead and rip that off. Hold this down for a second. And look at that, just like that, I already have a wrapped hilt, and that took me mere seconds to do. So here's how this one looks now with this setup. Now you might be wondering, is that going to affect the audio now that this is wrapped up? And the answer is no. But now I don't have to worry about my sweaty hands not being able to grip this, because now I have something to grip onto. So pretty neat stuff overall. So yeah, pretty neat combination. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is that I'm going to go ahead and go outside, and I'm just going to go ahead and swing it with the one combination by itself as a double bladed, because you guys have seen me swing these as single bladed hilts before, except for the Sear one, but it's not going to make it that big of a difference while I'm at a pretty far distance from the camera. And then I'm going to get back to you guys with my final results once I figure out, you know, how they handle, how do they feel, do I get any scuffs or scratches while swinging them, and revert back to this here in just a moment.
good for nothing Jedi.
White.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, record now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, record now. Alright, welcome back everyone. So I just had the moment to try these out individually and of course on camera as a double-bladed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, record now. Alright, so to go ahead and give you guys my final thoughts on these. Now I did use them as a single-bladed options off camera, while on camera I use them as a double-bladed option. And pretty much as far as this hilt here goes, the first one, the one that Cal Kestis is commonly using, the main thing that I wanted to point out, which still seems to be pretty common on these 89 Saber hilts, is that these little edges here on the parts that you remove to align those pieces are still on the sharp side, so do kind of keep aware of that while you're swinging these around as individual hilts or even as a double-bladed combination. So you might want to try to file those down a little bit more. On the Sears Saber, there wasn't really anything sharp or notable that caused any form of issues while swinging it by itself. Overall, it's a pretty nice looking hilt in my humble opinion. But as far as using them as a double-bladed combination, we already know that as far as the Kestis combination with the same existing hilt is always a fun combo. Like I said, just do note of the sharp edges on those pieces. And then as far as this combination with Sears Saber and Kestis' Formal Master combined, this is a pretty neat feeling. The last time that I had a combination of that was the one from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, the limited edition version, but that one was extremely heavy, bulky, large, while this one it's definitely got that it feels just right type of saber in the hands. Now the fonts that I did use as far as the video is concerned while I was swinging, I did get the Kyberphonic font package for Jedi Fallen Order. While technically in the first Jedi Fallen Order game there was no white as a crystal selection, I did use a white variation, which is from the white crystal from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, just one that's actually a smooth swing instead of the typical sound font for that. But overall, I'm pretty happy with these purchases as far as adding them to the collection. I think these are great and must-haves for sure, especially if you are a Jedi Fallen Order fan. Let me know what you guys think about these in the comment section down below. I know this review wasn't more, lightsaber sound fonts and swinging. This is more of a focused review, having all these different hilts here. And for those of you who might be kind of curious, if you got all this, is it worth all the different combinations, or is only one of the hilts worth it over the others? And I just wanted to kind of show you guys what kind of options you have here in and out of the box if you were ever looking into these. But yeah, once again, like I said, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section down below. And I hope you guys look forward to my next review, which we're going to be taking a look at Ezra's second lightsaber from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Until then, you guys have a wonderful day.